Okay, this one's kind of long, so prepare yourself. It's on page 22 of the big book.
Does it end on page 35?
No, it ends on page 24.
All right, that's good. Go ahead, hon.
Perhaps there never will be a full answer to these questions. Opinions vary considerably as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people. We are not sure why. Once a certain point is reached, little can be done for him. We cannot answer the riddle. We know that while the alcoholic keeps away from drink, as he may do for months or years, he reacts much like other men. We are equally positive that once he takes alcohol, whatever, into his system, something happens, both in the bodily and mental sense, which makes it virtually impossible for him to stop. The experience of any alcoholic will abundantly confirm this. These observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took the first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than his body. If you ask him why he started on that last bender, the chances will he will offer you any one of 100 alibis. Sometimes these excuses have a certain plausibility, but none of them really make sense in the light of the havoc an alcoholic's drinking bout creates. They sound like the philosophy of the man who, having a headache, beats himself on the head with a hammer so he can't feel the ache. If you draw this fallacious reasoning to the attention of an alcoholic, he will laugh it off or become irritated and refuse to talk. Once in a while, he may tell the truth. And the truth, strange to say, is usually that he has no more idea why he took that first drink than you have. Some drinkers have excuses with which they are satisfied part of the time, but in their hearts, they really do not know why they do it. Once this malady has a real hold, they are a baffled lot. There is the obsession that somehow, someday they will beat the game, but they often suspect they are down for the count. How true this is, few realize. In a vague way, their families and friends sense that these drinkers are abnormal. But everybody hopefully awaits the day when the sufferer will rouse himself from his lethargy and assert his power of will. The strange truth is that if the man be a real alcoholic, the happy day may not arrive. He has lost control. At a certain point in the drinking of every alcoholic, he passes into a state where the most powerful desire to stop drinking is of absolutely no avail. This tragic situation has already arrived in practically every case long before it is suspected. The fact is that most alcoholics, for reason yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring our consciousness with sufficient, to bring into our consciousness with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of even a week or a month ago. We are without defense against the first drink. Period.
Well, thanks.
Sorry it was so long.
No, it's great. So, Paul, welcome everyone. Nice to see you. Let's just start at that last paragraph and maybe work back. So, the fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice to drink. Well, hopefully, what we're presenting here will make it clearer why they've lost the power of choice to drink. Yeah, because we've been taken over. The idea of being the driver has been debunked because we feel like we're driven. The system tries to come to some rationalized conclusion, but they're all holding empty. It's empty water. You have no idea what's going on because it's not you that's doing it. Yeah. You find out after the effects. That's why most people, other people, recognize the alcoholism before the alcoholic does. Why? Because the alcoholic is in an incredible cocoon of trance that the parasite keeps talking to us as us and uses us for transportation. That's not obscure anymore, hopefully. If you've been coming to these meetings, I hope it's not obscure. I hope there's been an answer for us, which is, let's not go to self, but there's a parasitical movement, which is other than us, that uses us for transportation. Just like the car isn't privy to where the driver wants to go. The car just gets driven somewhere. Now, the car, with this amount of sentience, has a story that it's the driver. And when it runs into the alcoholic trips, it can't come to a rational conclusion because it seems so absurd where I'm going if I'm the driver. It makes no fucking sense, even to the person who's being driven, and especially to people who are seeing them or looking at them. They can't imagine why these people keep getting loaded. This is sort of like a system grabbing at straws, trying to create a fabricated narrative that keeps the central character in place, you, and it's not you. You're being driven. Yeah, you are a subordinate to the parasite. You are not having a parasite. The parasite's having you. There. Is that obscure anymore? I don't think so. So our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent because something has overridden it. Something has taken over the system. Just like when a flu or a virus takes over the system. The way you want to feel is not the way you're feeling. You're going to go through what it's like to have a virus take over the system for 10 days. Now, we're dealing with a mental virus, which has, it can occupy us for quite a long freaking time. Yes. And we don't see it coming, and therefore we can't see it go. Yeah. Because we're in a trance that it promotes and reinforces, which is what? The obsession with self. Yeah. Self was the landing. That's where the alcoholism landed. It landed on self, and it's now amplified certain qualities of self, and it's using this camouflage of self-centeredness to live its own life through us. That's why we all end up in similar places, even though we think we're quite different. I mean, obviously, the evidence is overwhelming that you have very little to do with the situation at this point. Yeah. So this is why it's surrender. This is not a self-help program. It's an admitting the failure of the system we have relied upon not knowing we can move to another system and asking for something to do for us what we can't do for ourselves. It doesn't change in year 3 or year 8 or year 12. That's the basis. Yeah. So I don't see that it's so obscure anymore. I don't. I hope not. Here we go. Perhaps. Yeah, I love the other one on page 23. These observations all about, the befuddled person under the sway of alcoholism. These observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took the first drink. We're in that condition, most of us. We're not taking the first drink. Yeah? Why does it matter? If you're fucked, it doesn't matter why you're fucked. Yeah? It doesn't. And especially the thing that wants to wonder why it's fucked is what got you fucked. Yeah? You're relying on the system that has failed you or that brought you to this condition to sort of, wax poetically about the condition and its sources and its origins. I mean, it's insane. Let's hear from the problem. What about the problem? Have you ever been to a meeting or where there's like 8 chairs in a row there? The problem is talking about the problem. Thank God there's a loving presence in the room, because Jesus, if it was happening on Zoom, you have certain powers. You can mute. You can walk away from the screen. Yeah. There is a solution. And the solution is not stopping drinking. It's not starting drinking. Yeah. You just don't start ever again. Then you don't need a giant fucking toolkit of how to stop. You just don't. Yeah. You travel lighter. Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, that one I like a lot. These observations would be academic and pointless. That's pretty powerful statement. If our friend never took the first drink. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind. Yeah. My elbow isn't telling me to, fucking blow up the neighbor's car. Yeah. My elbow isn't telling me much. If you ask him why he started on that last bender, the chances are he will offer you any one of the 100 alibis, because what's talking to you is the disease. What's talking as you is the disease. Haven't you sat with 80 different people with different names and you've spoken to the same thing? Alcoholism. Hasn't that happened? You get a call at a certain point. I don't care who it is who called, because what called me was alcoholism. I hear the same fucking thing. You can recognize it from a mile away. Okay. You're on for like a 20-minute thing that doesn't go anywhere, and you can hear this heavy breathing of the elephant in the room. Yeah. Just, it's always where they are, but never how they get there. It's always where they are, but it's never how they get there. Because they don't know how they got there. Yeah, and they can't bear the way it would be presented that you did it. They can't bear it anymore. So they want to be in denial, and I don't blame them. I was in a complete state of denial. And to couple with that, there was a complete disassociation from the body. I was living in some netherworld, like in a satellite dish, where the frequencies were just bouncing in on each other. Self-centeredness, living in a self-centered loop. I had terrible conditions in my legs, totally disassociated from them. Completely. Yeah. That was the solution of the head. What happens? You get sober, and then all the shit you seem to be conveniently avoiding catches up to you. Not as punishment, but you can't move on until they're dealt with. It's just that simple. There's got to be a certain coming to peace with the past, or the past is going to loom over you like a weather front. Yeah, you're not going to have as many sunny days. So it's time to get into the garage, lay on the operating table, don't play doctor, and don't get up, and just follow these simple suggestions and build the momentum, and you'll end up in the habit of being sober instead of the habit of checking out. Yeah. And being a basis of every day, your days will go different. Not because of the day, but because of the basis from where you're standing in the day, which is trusting the infinite and not trusting the finite self. And what does that mean? Fucking not hearing the thoughts is yours. Yeah. You are not the driver in this case. You are the driven. It's important to realize that's why the higher power doesn't come in as the driven. It comes in as the new driver. Yeah. The old employer and the new employer, the old driver and the new driver. Both conditions wear the driven. You don't launch your own boat. You don't. Jesus, man. Well, okay, let me get to this. Yeah, so if he keeps away from drink, he may be like normal people. But sometimes it was the normalcy of what people are like that caused us to drink. Because there's a bondage of self going on before you pick up the drink. And to me, that's what you get to when the influence of the alcoholism recedes. You get to see the true nature of the wrong, and it has nothing to do with drinking and using. It has nothing to do with alcoholism, really. It has to do with incredible self-centeredness to the point we're identified as this mental image. Yeah. Now, some people are normal in that condition and they don't flip out. Other people like us were normal in that condition, but it was too much. Yeah. Maybe there was like they say, alcoholism is like a misdirected spiritual yearning. It's just something. We feel like something's not there that causes us to be irritable, restlessness, and discontent. And then what we call in to guide us in that endeavor is what fails us. And now the program is guiding us, and now we're finding some kind of peace. I couldn't be peaceful like a lot of people I know. That life would irritate the fuck out of me. Yeah. I wanted to look around the corner. I did. I was curious about stuff. Yeah. So here you go. Once in a while, they may tell the truth. Yeah, one dart hits the board occasionally. Yeah. You throw enough darts, one's probably going to hit the board. And the truth, strangers say, is usually that he has no more idea why he took the first drink than you have. Yes. Does it allow you to sleep at night if you think you understand something, even if it's wrong? I mean, a wrong understanding produces a lot of unintended consequences. Yeah. So clarity is important, I feel. Yeah. And that thing running across the lens, the active addict in alcoholism, when it stops, you'll start seeing clearer. Yeah. You're probably not going to be able to see clearer until that fucking chaotic thing going back and forth stops, which is the program of recovery. Yeah. It puts us into a pause, and maybe now we have a number of days of not starting, and then a lot of other stuff can start, like the waking up process. Yes. And the staying awake process, and knowing that you are always awake process. Yeah. Which isn't a process. So Yeah, thank you, Mickey, for this. I don't think it has to be so obscure. The car does not know where it's going. Oh, it's being driven by something. When the parasite takes you over, you're not privy to its inner machinations. You're being ground down by its inner machinations. It's using you for transportation. It's just that simple. It does. Yeah. So I think he preys upon our inordinate sense of responsibility, because now some of us don't even have the eyes to see that what we did while under the influence, we were not the chooser of that. We were not the doer of that. We were used by those 100 forms of fear and shit like that to produce effects. Yeah. You don't want to be left holding that bag for 35 years. Yeah. The day may be so beautiful, but you can't respond to it. Every place you go, you got to bring all that old baggage with you. To me, that's not freedom. That's just another form of slavery. You're bound to the idea that you were the doer of these undoable fucking things over and over again. Disappointment upon disappointment. You've made your amends. Yeah. The mea culpas are over. Yes. Just check out the accountability and recognize what truly drove you was not you. You were powerless, like it says. When do you get that? When? Now, hopefully. Some grace and forgiveness will come in. Yeah. Yeah. If you're trying to get to that grace and forgiveness before you make amends, it may be a mental way of just trying to get out of something it doesn't want to go through. No, I'm talking about we've done the steps. I've done the 9th step. I made amends. Yeah. And after making amends, I came to another point of understanding and seeing the accountability that I have in this world, but not the responsibility. I'm accountable for my dog shitting on the neighbor's lawn. I'm not responsible for my dog shitting on the neighbor's lawn. Yeah. This to me is what I see. I see how self has defeated me, and I see it was done through its manifestations. Yeah. I do not call those manifestations mine anymore. I don't. And I don't pass it on to others as theirs. I don't. Yeah. So there you go. Nice to see everyone, and release the Krakens.
Thanks, Paul. Do we have any hands coming up? I don't see any hands. Do anybody have a comment or a question to ask Paul? Oh, Ruby Rose is here in the house. Here you go.
Wow. A blast from the past, Ruby.
Can you unmute? There you go.
Did I?
Yes, you are. You're on, Ruby.
I'm trying to get back so I can see you. Oh, there you go. Okay. Oh, morning. Well, it's been really interesting the last few months, once they opened us up and we could go back to meetings, and what we've all learned here together, which is, to me, just been miraculous. And so I speak, as I've heard in here a lot, from page 64, and even what we read here today was another clue where it says when the malady gets on us. I mean, there it is again. It didn't say we went and got a malady. It said a malady came and got on top of us. What's going on now is really interesting, because you can see the disease when it's riding hard in the rooms. It's like people are really pissed off at me. I don't push it. I just speak from what I've learned in here, and at first I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on, because it was like, damn, there's some guys in there and they are really pissed off at me. My sponsor got pissed off at me and said, I can't do this anymore. And I think what was amazing to me is that I would take, like we do in here, the book to them and say, okay, look, I'm not making any of this shit up. This just makes sense. And I was listening to an older broadcast of Paul, and he said, sometimes what happens is that there's information in us, but we don't know what to do with it. And we got in a lot of trouble as a little kid letting this information, and all of a sudden I heard my mom say, you need to be quiet, you scare people. And I thought, oh, I didn't know what that meant. Now I do. I don't quit, but what I really wanted to share with y'all and with Paul and stuff is I get along really well with like the younger guys and the rough gals, because I cuss like an Irishman also, and so there's a lineup there. But this one kid, I talked for he said, I listened to you for 3 months and I had no idea what the hell you were saying. He goes, but I just knew. And so 2 days ago, I was really just gnarly, and I knew I needed to go to a meeting, and I knew I just need to listen. And people, how you do? I said, you just need to leave me alone. I'm going to the back of the wall. I'm sitting in my chair. I'm going to have my tea. No, I'm not up for conversation. So at the end of the meeting, he comes up. He's huge bodybuilder, right? But he's just like really sweet and shy, and he goes, I heard it. And I said, oh, and he goes, page 64. I said, yeah. He goes, I heard it. I saw it. And then he takes down lots of notes because that helps him. And then everywhere when we find something like this, that word that was in the reading today, when something lays over us, and he goes, and we don't drive either bus. And I said, no, we've never driven anything. We're being driven. And he had tears, and he was just so freaking relieved, because he's also bipolar. And I've worked with a lot of people with that, which talk about a pain in the ass. And then today when Paul was sharing, this is what I used to say in the beginning. I didn't know what I was saying. And I just said, this disease is like a fucking pimp. And we're its whores, and we don't even know that. And it'll talk us into getting in that back seat and doing shit you wouldn't do, and keeps feeding you drugs, and you can't take it anymore, and you crawl out of the thing and you're never going back, and heal yourself up, walking along the street, big pink Cadillac shows up. Oh baby, I didn't meet sweet talking this, your hand goes out and you're on a run again. So it's just, this disease is a friggin' pimp. And, I don't have to get in the car anymore. And I also like that that the 100 forms of fear, and that, what takes us out. It's just, I don't have to get involved in it. It just comes out clear. And that thing where Paul says, you just keep shooting. You keep shooting, and something in it will crack. And that little, like that page 64 got into one of my little huge guys. And God, just to see that kind of joy and relief and shit off of the human is just, once again, here I am stoked. So I just wanted to share that, even if they take out after you and posse up and call you crazy ass bitch again, the kind of backing that we have nowadays with this is like, that's okay. And if one person gets it, it's your whole life is worthwhile. So that's it. I just wanted to share.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's miraculous.
Yeah, yeah, you're on an outpost.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
But I'm that kind. I've always been that kind of a parameter person. The true woman who
Yeah.
runs with
Well,
wolves.
yeah.
It's good.
Well, thanks for coming, honey. I'm very happy to hear from you again.
Good. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see
Ruby
you,
is
Ruby Rose.
the rose that's always in bloom. Ruby Rose.
You bet.
It's always in bloom. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, not all news gets received as good news, for sure.
Oh no, it doesn't like it. You can see it. It comes like back up over, and there's a vicious. It's not a you know.
I know well, honey. Don't worry.
Oh, I know you do, but it's always just so like, wow, and to see that what's tough is that they don't know about this hostile takeover. They think it's them. Because I used to think those thoughts were mine. All that shit that was going on there, well, what are you thinking? And then I'd freak out, because there's all these thoughts in here. And I just tell some of the kids, they pray a lot. And I said, have you ever gone to the altar and prayed what thoughts you were going to think tomorrow? They're not our thoughts. They're just thoughts, and we've had some crazy shit downloaded. I mean, wow. So I can't thank you enough because you gave me the words for the shit that's always gone on in here that my mom told me I had to be quiet about. I knew she probably thought I'd get hurt, and then the alcoholism did it, but that had to even happen or this wouldn't have happened. Because
Yeah. Yeah.
I need proof in the pudding. I need some tangible shit. Because they downloaded all this fluffy ass shit that was supposed to work with words. No.
Yeah. Well, sometimes to get in the water, you have to rock the boat.
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The water is sufficient enough to give you the balls to keep rocking the boat. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, water's great. It supports everything. You can exercise in it.
The amount of people that were drowning wasn't that amount, probably you wouldn't have to say anything. But because the problem follows us into the solution, it's important to
Yes.
sort of attempt to describe it and
Yes.
hopefully see it as other, really.
Yes.
Because if you keep
Yeah.
calling it you, it definitely severely handicaps you with what's possible and what's not possible.
No. Right. I mean,
Yeah.
there wouldn't be a gymnast. You'd stop after your first major flubs, which are fucked. You do gymnastics. I mean, you are hurt,
Yeah.
but you get up, you go at it. And
Yeah,
that's
well,
this. And you can't take it personal. I mean, this is this very strange phenomena. But there's a
it may
way.
be strange, but it duplicates a lot. Once you
Yes.
start seeing it, yeah.
Yes.
It's just whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're not going to be elected the mayor. That's
Oh, I
okay.
don't know.
I was never interested in running for office,
No.
any
No.
office. So
You have
it's
to
okay.
show up. No, because you're going to show up to the office, and I know what's in I'm not going to go to the office. No.
Whatever. But nice to
Yeah.
see you, honey. Thank you for
All
coming.
right, hon.
Stay in touch with send us reports from the outpost. Yeah.
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Yeah. We'll try to send you
then
supplies more frequently.
you do. No, I'm, even if you don't see me, I'm still here. I'm still in,
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah,
Great,
yeah.
great.
Well, I
All
had
right,
to,
honey. Thank you.
yep, back to work.
Thank you, honey.
Hey, Paul,
Yeah.
this is Gary on the phone. I got a question.
Hey, Gary.
Hey, thanks. If I could, this might be a little bit of devil's advocate, but it's like from a different point of view. Maybe I'm not in the same place you guys, but it's like I had this experience the other morning. There's all this thinking going on about addiction and stuff. Like I don't know. It is the addict thinking, but what came through to me in that morning was, you're an addict. And it was like, I guess it's what's kind of weird is who's talking, who's hearing this, who's listening to it. And in that moment, in that morning, it's like, Gary, you're an addict. Quit squirming. Just accept the diagnosis. That's it, man. And for me at that moment, that was the right answer, because there's all this thinking going on, thinking like, oh, well, yeah, but Paul says this and it's really a fake out. And, there's a lot of knowledge going on. But you said like self-knowledge avails us nothing. And it's like, I just got that, you're a fucking addict. Don't squirm about that diagnosis. And then there was, the admission of that. And then there was some amends to be made. And maybe there's more amends to be made. But, what seemed to be going on in that moment is you're trying to fool yourself here. Don't put I guess you say, cart before the horse. Don't put, don't advance yourself beyond don't think yourself into, you can't think yourself into recovery. So I don't know. It's just like I get confused here. I'm not sure who's hearing what you're saying, because there seems like there's a fake out artist that says, oh yeah, I get this. I understand what Paul's saying. It's not really me. Well, sometimes that one hearing it is the addiction, and it says, oh yeah, I'm cool with this. I got this. And so I don't know. I just wanted to run that by you, because it seemed in that moment that, I was being pinned, and it was better to, like you say, stay down. When you're pinned, you're down, and don't try to get up when you don't.
Yeah.
You
But
hear what I'm
see,
saying?
Gary, what the understanding we're presenting here is that which is struggling isn't you. It's more of the aspect of the disease. Yeah. And
Yes.
also,
Yes.
the wolf will appear in sheep's clothing, but after a while, you can see through the sheep's clothing and recognize it's the wolf. So, and there will be
And
many, many times you'll have that opportunity to see the wolf in sheep's clothing. So, yeah, but what was just sharing now, or not sharing, but that agitation and frustration is not of you, it's of the mental condition, which is where the problem resides. Yeah? So you
yeah,
see it
yeah.
as, you start seeing it as not you. Uh,
Right. The agitation, the confusion, the resistance, the whole mental acting is that addiction. It's selfing, or whatever you want
well,
to
the
call it.
other side
And that,
too, the thinking you're feeling great and everything else is also becomes uninteresting after a while. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
If I don't
yeah.
get pulled into the feeling great, then the fear about feeling bad doesn't have such a loud volume. Yes. If you hear one station, you'll probably hear the sister station. So you start losing interest, and you're just here. And there's a a lot of guest cameo appearances, birds, fucking cats, thoughts, things like that. But you're like the space that's never moved. Yeah. Oh, an awareness. I don't mean consciousness, I mean awareness. Yeah. Conscious, I don't want to get into it, but yeah. So some of what
Yeah,
was
yeah, I
saying,
hear
what
you.
was, hmm?
I hear that, and I feel that sometimes. It's just that the thoughts about it confuse. You know, it's like,
Of
then I
course,
had,
that's what I want to do. Oh, sorry.
no, it's okay. That just that the thoughts about it confused, and then you know, there's just a lot of confusion, and it is true. And then in moments it says, "Oh, see that confusion? That's not you," and that's kind of a clear
Yeah, you know,
thing,
that's
but
like
it's
those
not a
bugs.
clear
That's
thinking.
like those bugs that ski on the surface of ponds. Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
then there's an obsession with the weight they produce. This is the water isn't being disturbed.
okay. Well, I just wanted to put it out there because you
There's a
know sometimes,
there's a deepness of us that isn't plastered onto the surface. Yes. Some of the surface chatter never echoes to that deep place. You just start losing interest in these things, and you're in that process, and then you become a deep ocean dweller, so to speak. Yeah, that's what starts happening.
and I hear that you've done your amends, and I hear that you know trying to do it before those amends is misplaced.
It may,
So
in most cases, I would say it would be, because now you're trying to get uh, like a free pass not to do the amends with some philosophy and
yeah,
stuff. No, we've done that. Well, we've done all that, and I there was an obvious recognition that the manifestations of self are not my manifestations. Yet the way we speak, or what speaks through us, or how we speak, is constantly proclaiming an allegiance to that. And I feel like you have to become awake to that situation, or you're going to be asleep to a lot of other situations. That's all. And yeah, and some of that is feeling, instead of having a narcoticized confusion and agitation, you really see the water things popping off the hot pan. That's what happens. It's part of the admission. Yeah. What you've been trying to conveniently avoid and live like a tranced out, shallow dweller, you have to see through. Yeah. It's part of the admission, in a sense. Yeah. Yeah.
okay, yeah,
Yeah. People take
and
pills
so
not to see that stuff going on. They take one pill and then they take another pill, and they, yeah, there's but man, there's such free swimming underneath it. If you can just trust this process. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
and it's not Gary free swimming underneath it.
no, Gary is a reflection on the surface. That's what
Yeah,
Gary is. Gary is an activity of sequential reflections, mentally accumulated, to give you a book of illustrations. Life as Gary. Yes.
anyway, thanks for listening, Paul. I just kind of wanted to blab that out there and bounce it off
Yeah, I
you. So I
understand
appreciate
it.
you.
I understand it, Gary. I've watched you now for a few years, 3 years. So yeah. It's
It's
sort of
it's
like,
like sometimes. Go ahead.
It's sort of like a deep dive. So here you are watching the video of someone deep dive, and the reports that are given at certain points are quite familiar to others reporting this deep dive. Yes, or what you've been through yourself, so you have an understanding of what's being talked about. Yeah, and I'm telling you, there's a lot more available. Don't try to swim up to the surface. Let go. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. This is not a swimming up and changing that. It's a diving down, and it's not you diving. The momentum has shifted. You're going down. Yeah, yeah.
So my
And
question
you can
is it
struggle all you
sometimes,
like. Hmm?
my question is it, it's like I get stuck here, like maybe there's more amends to be made. Maybe I'm avoiding something. And how do I know that?
Well, ask that question, then just ask yourself, Gary, ask yourself a question. What is it I know that I don't want to know? Yeah, and it'll be a hollow echo. You've probably done your amends and shit like that. It's just the head trying to cause trouble. Yeah, but you can ask that. Sit and go, what is it I know that I don't want to know? I know that I've made the amends, but my head doesn't want to know that because it wants to fucking shake the bottle up. Yeah, just you'll see. You'll see it.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks.
The
Thanks,
thing is,
Gary.
whatever you see, Gary, isn't going to change the fucking momentum. It's a done deal. Your head is in the tiger's mouth, as a great master said. Yeah. This is just flailings. It's like I had a demonstration of it the day I got struck sober. And then a woman was going to come up and help me that I knew. And so that was about a 2-hour drive to get to where I was. And when I got in her car, there was like, at least to this point, the last alcoholic hurrah. I tried to talk her into getting some Coke and doing some shit we used to do. And she wouldn't have any of it. Yeah. So it was like weak. It didn't have much oomph, but it still went, ah, and then it was put to rest, so to speak. Yeah. So
Yeah.
your this aspect of agitation is getting weaker. It's not getting stronger. That's the momentum. Not the well, at 205 it was incredibly strong. I'm talking about the curve it's on. It's getting weaker. Yes? It's getting to its sunset moment, whilst the light is getting stronger. Yeah. Now the head wants to act as the exact opposite is the basis. Yeah. Any moment I could be worse than I ever was. No, probably that's not going to happen right now. Yeah.
Mm.
The journey has been set. The direction has been set. The momentum is there. Trust the process. Don't get up off the table. Don't leave before the miracle. It's that simple. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, it's never going to adhere to or comply with the fact that the die is set. It isn't. It wants to keep constantly believing it has a choice. It has some say and relevance. Its light was reflected. It's dimming out. Act as if that's true. Yes.
Mm.
Don't believe you're in good hands. Act as if you're in good hands. It's past the point of believing. Act as if you're in good hands. Yes. Yeah. The head just wants to say, "Look at the surface. Look at the surface," but it's getting brought down. You see, it wants the attention to go there when it's actually going. Yeah. Yeah. there's more peace right where you are than the head will ever imagine. Yeah. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it's past this point of no return. Hallelujah.
That's
You
good
can be
news.
as, you can have a healthy thing. Well, if I drink, it could. Yes, but you're not drinking today. So one, in a sense, you've passed the point of no return. Yeah. It's a nice way to sort of taking something
Yeah.
for a fact and taking something for granted is different. I take the sobriety for a fact. I don't take the sobriety for granted. But I take sobriety as a fact. Most of the other shit is false evidence in the space of that fact. Yes? My head, I will be loaded. I was loaded. I don't care. I'm not loaded. Yeah? I'm not being driven by the lower employer. Yeah? Just not. So that's a fact. I don't take it for granted. But I act as if it's so because it is. Yeah. That's as simple. The fake it till you make it it's past that point. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like, and this may be objection or something, but what came to me the other morning was like this diagnosis of being an addict is a diagnosis. It's like I have, it'd be like a diagnosis of having diabetes. Once you have that diagnosis, there's certain things you still got to do to take care that you don't, have a bad, you still got to take your insulin. And so, that did it. You still don't walk into bars, or you don't do stuff that would, that an addict would, to cause them to be acting out, right? So it's sort of like that. There's something practical to this too. You don't. What does it
Yeah,
say? You
you're in
don't.
the habit of it. You're in the habit of being sober. You're not in the habit of walking into bars anymore. Habits are
Right.
thoughts without actions. I'm not thinking myself into good action anymore. I'm doing good actions without thought. That's different. Yeah.
But you
In
still,
the habit of
if
being
somebody
sober.
came up and said, "Hey, you want to go into a bar? I see you're not having trouble with drinking," then you still might say no, right?
Well, I might say yes. I don't know.
Might
That's
say
the
yes.
point. Yeah. Going to the bar doesn't mean I'm going to have a shot of whiskey. It's just going to the bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If somebody really wanted me to go to a bar to hear some good music, yeah, far out. And it doesn't mean I don't wear like a certain like emblem, AA. It's like, yeah. I haven't been in a bar in a long, 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 long time. That's for sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah, bro.
the exact. Go ahead.
Something's got you anxious. Yeah. It's not you. So there you go. Yeah, you know what to do to
Yeah.
take care of your sobriety to a point. Yes. At least about good neighborhoods or bad neighborhoods and intentions, don't you? At this point?
Yeah.
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 So rely on that. Why would you want to rely on the head?
Yeah. So you're saying rely on the good habits, not the thinking.
Well, yes, for sure. That's where the problem
Right.
resides. Yeah.
Yeah.
The problem resides in the mind, the activity, the small m mind, which obviously the main one is the transfer of information and narration through thoughts. Yeah. That system has been infected by the disease, by the parasite. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
disguises its thoughts as your thoughts through identification as the thinker. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've heard that, you understand that, and you obviously have recognized a lot of thoughts as not yours. Yeah. That ability to recognize uh, can recognize one thought or 800,000 thoughts as not yours. It's the ability to recognize is in place. Yeah.
Well,
There you
sometimes it
go.
seems that,
You're in the habit of being sober. That's what it is.
but it seems like no thought is. That seems like they're all infected. Every thought
It
is.
doesn't matter about that. That's not your purview anyway. Yeah. Yeah. You're not the administrator of the system.
Yeah.
You've made a decision in this life to turn your will and life over to the care of a higher power. Yes? Yes.
Yes.
So something is doing for you what you can't do for yourself. Yes? And so your new administrator isn't called you. Yeah? Yeah.
No.
You follow the suggestions. You have been brought to the habit of being sober. There you go. The level of maintenance has probably gone down. The machinery is working pretty well. Yeah. You don't need to oil it with more thoughts. So hopefully you see it's the problem talking about the solution. That recognition, you'll lose interest in what the problem's saying because you'll be listening to the success of the solution. You want to call it the great silence or whatever, but yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
If you don't have a flaw, FLOOR, you're probably going to have an incredible immunity to advertising for rugs. Yes. It's just sort of it's built in now with the knowledge that you don't have a place to put a rug. You're probably not going to buy one. Yeah. Yeah. It's just simple clarity. So you're now on a new
So,
basis. The head wants to act like you're on an old basis. That's all. Go ahead, Gary.
yeah. So could you interpret that? That I'm a little confused there. That I don't know. I just didn't pick up that last one about how the head. I I don't know. I don't know. I can't even say it right.
The
You know
head's
that.
act, the old employer is coming to the office, You're not going to be
Yeah.
the one that walks them off the grounds. The higher power does.
All right. I guess that just means doing this program, working the program, calling
Well,
people, doing
hopefully
what.
it's working you. So yeah, just when something's working you, I think there's less thought and effort or less sweating it out. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this is why we have this venue. So so we can talk like this and see what we can see and see what we can't see and be both all right in both conditions. Yeah. Yeah. have to realize one thing, in a sense. Let's say spirit and then the head. The head has a different value system than spirit does. The head lends a lot of value to a lot of things and brings about a lot of believing in false evidence as appearing real. Yeah. The spirit, whatever you want to call it, it goes about things a different way, I feel. Yeah. There's just there's no vanquishing or anything. There's just a loss of interest in it, in stuff. Yeah. And you just feel a deep relaxation because you're not stressed out about a lot of shit you can't have nothing to do with, really. Yeah. And yeah. I'm not trying to, look over the mountain. Just seeing right where I am, so to speak. Yeah. Yeah. So the head gets a little agitated, and then it plays its little subtle, three little P under three things. Tries to do a little this. Yeah. Confuse your surface state. Yeah. Yeah. You never want to look at that from above. You want to see it from below. Yeah. When you see it from below, yeah, when you try to figure out the mental through the mental, it's ultimately more disturbing. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like everything, like you say, it's bring it to conscious contact. It's sort of the mind catches that, and then it kind of runs with the ball, and that's a moment of confusion. It's like, oh wow, which one's the reflection and which one's the depth, and who's
Well, bro,
figuring
it's
this
actually
out?
neither. It's really neither. This assurance is so deep because you are what you're looking for. You're not looking for depth. You are the depth. Yeah? It's not one or the other. It's not the confusing or the depth. The confusing and the depth are appearing in us.
Yeah.
That's the great assurance. The great assurance isn't in opposites. I'm not living a great assurance that I'm always going to be on this side and never on that side. It's a recognizing those two opposites are of the same aspect, and you're something other than that. You're bigger. Yes? So you don't have to have the one that feels so fragile that it can only be peaceful if the confusing aspect shuts up. That's not you. Yeah? You're neither of those. Because in this one fragile, peaceful condition is completely based on not having this confusing, anxious condition. You're not of that. Yeah, you're below. Yeah, you're below where opposites don't start. Yeah, it's not either this or that. That's a mental deal. Okay, for you to have that, this has to happen. This isn't what we're talking about. Yeah? We're talking about below. A spiritual awakening is not an opposite. A spiritual awakening doesn't produce its own breed of anxiety and fear. It doesn't. Yeah? It's not like now that I got clear here, I'm more afraid of its effect on the opposite, of this China-like clarity that can be broken at any moment. No, it's dog shit awareness. It's underneath it. Yeah. Yeah. Following this doesn't lead you to an island of this and that. Yes. It leads to the ocean that those islands are appearing in. That's where it is. Yeah. You don't win, you don't get relieved from duality by standing on one of the islands, constantly living in fear the other island is going to move on you. That's not it. It's a peace from opposites, the good and the bad. Like it says in our one of the steps, you know, take all of me, the good and the bad. Take all of me, the good and the bad. Yes? We're not one without the other. There's something the all of us is what allows the good and the bad. Yes? Yeah. I want to give the bad, keep this good, a little bit of this good, and a little taste of this bad. I like a little of that. No, all. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, this is why we have this platform. So when you're feeling like confused and you're gulping up on the surface, maybe you can get a sense of what's underneath. Yeah. Because that's where the relief comes from to me. I believe relief is prior to the bondage, not after the bondage. Yes, I do. I believe it's a state in and of itself. It's not a reaction or an anti-effect, you know, stress relief. No, I'm not talking, I'm talking about a relief that passeth understanding. Yes. You want to call it peace, whatever. Yeah, these
I
there's
almost wish
always going
we
to
had
be
different language.
the mental state plays this. The mental state has a debating team of policeman thief. It loves to go off and on about the da 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 da, as if they have great relevance. Yeah, yeah. This is why you see thoughts as not yours. You lose interest in them. Yeah.
But whose these thoughts is not yours?
Oh, Gary, I'm going to come up there and slap you soon. Very soon.
Okay,
Just a
sounds like
seeing
I
of
need
it.
it.
There's no Garys. There's a seeing of it. Do you believe that you're a thing? Do you believe that if
Yes,
there's awareness, there must be someone who's having the awareness, that's directing the awareness? And then that someone has the quality of not being aware also?
I do.
Because there you go. And you're not that which believes it. So hallelujah. Yeah. See, if you believe that Gary is going to be doing and doing and undoing and undoing and not doing and not doing, and if it's always going to be a someone there, that you've just been in the depths of the mental condition, which is like a puddle. Yeah. Yeah. So
Paul, you
yes.
have a couple more questions.
All right. Yes.
Do you want to move on?
Yes.
Okay,
Gary,
Sky.
I love you, Gary.
Sky.
Yeah.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul.
Oh, it's yes, Sky. How are you?
Yes, it's me. I'm wonderful. I kind of just wanted to like give praise for like that I'm not me. That's why I feel like a miniature you. Like I feel like the Riff Cadet has taken over me, and like I now like trust that the infinite like is unlimited, like with my vocabulary and with my riffs. Like sometimes I'll be like, oh, what I said was just like perfectly from spirit and so divine, like I can like rewrite what I said on a video because the students have appeared. Like when the student's ready, the teacher has appeared and the teacher's me, and I sound like you, but it's not you, it's spirit in both of us. That's why we sound so similar and we giggle at the same things, because it's not us. We've been taken over by a Riff Cadet. And it's like it's so fun. But it like, I love how you can just go, okay, I'm gonna go in again. And it's just as good, if not better, because you trust that. It's like the trust fall, you know, in the deep diving. So that's all I wanted to say. Thank you.
Okay. Nice to see you, Sky.
Nice
Yes.
to see you.
What's
Okay.
above is what's below. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Yes, sir. Annette has been patiently waiting.
All right, Annette.
Hi, everybody. I just wanted to thank you, Paul, because I had a question, and I'm thinking about someone who actually is in active addiction, and he's very smart, and he's really cunning, baffling, and powerful in a lot of different ways. And I'm trying to help his roommate, who's an old friend of mine. But you hit on an idea that was, you hit on this idea, and aside from any of the science, like the pathogen inside us develops a deep, dark groove, a pattern in our record of existence. And whether or not it's in our active addiction, that pattern shows up. It shows up when someone like Rose, who's a senior person in sobriety, it seems to me, I don't know you, Rose, goes into a room to speak her truth and then gets criticized. It is that pattern that we have. We slip back into these old thoughts and behaviors, and when they're in a room and we act like our old, whatever adjective you want to put in, like stubborn self, hard to convince self, blah, 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 that's one thing. But when it happens in our behavior, we can slide back into addiction. That's how easily our mind gets grooved by addiction. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you, because you've given me a way to explain this to my friend who's not an addict, but has been affected by people who've been addicts his whole life. So before he puts up an immovable boundary, I want to try to help him and explain to him about his friend. And it occurred to me also that the problem with his friend is an absolute non-surrender. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing. I don't know.
Yes.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, there's no, thank you, Annette. Yeah. Sooner or later, even though that maybe I'm wrong comes over you, you gotta just ride the horse first and see how it plays out. And then you're gonna grow into a trusting and a faith, yeah? Yeah, this is what happens. And they mention it in the big book where people will do some absurd things with this idea of the higher power, but after a while, yeah, there's certain a groove, yeah? Yeah, so it's okay to be wrong, just because by, let's say, the example of being wrong, you get the ears to hear what's right, yeah? So there's value in everything. I would say part of the not doing anything at times when there's a call for movement or action, I would say is the worst than being right or wrong in a way. So yeah, give it a shot. Yeah, yeah.
Well, this person is powerful. They are intelligent, well-educated, have worked in addiction care, and they are using all their stories,
Well, all you can do is what you can do, honey. It's not up to us, the results anyway.
No,
But
no.
if you're moved to share, then share. Yeah, yeah. And you have it by giving it away. So this is
Yeah,
yeah,
thanks.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyone else, Mickey?
Are you ready for one last hand?
Yeah, sure.
Donovan has his hand up.
I could go on for hours today. I'm ready to go more than the 12 rounds. Yeah, let's go.
Hey, Paul, it's Donovan. How are you today?
All right, Donovan.
Good, good. Hey, appreciate you very much. So I just wanted to run by. This is kind of where I landed. Wanted to see what you thought. Would you say awareness is spirit and the thoughts are the self that defeated us?
I wouldn't say, I would say awareness is spirit, yes, but it isn't the thoughts that have defeated us. It's the identification as the thinker. Yeah, and then the thoughts are used to defeat, just like manifestations are used by this fixation on self to defeat us. Yeah. So in this case, the self manifesting as the thinker is using thoughts to defeat us. Yes.
Self manifested in various ways.
Yeah. So self, in that case, when the way we usually react to thoughts is we react from the sense of being the thinker. I would say that's a manifestation of self. Yeah. Because when you were a young kid or a baby, there was thoughts going on, yet there was not a reaction to them as you were the thinker of them. I'm pretty sure. And so what the self manifests and then uses a lot of stuff to produce, let's say, the defeat. To the self, it's not a defeat, it's a victory. It's to the one that's being oppressed by self, it's a defeat. Yeah. So the self is doing it's not self, it's selfing really. It's more of a movement, but that movement is using whatever is going on and claiming it. So the way the thoughts are claimed is as you are the thinker. Yeah. So as the way actions are claimed, you are the doer. Yeah. The way problems are claimed, they're yours. Yeah. So this is just it's like a modus operandi that's pretty. So the specifics become less important because you see the pattern. Yeah. So I don't care why something happened. If it keeps happening, I like it to stop, let's say. Yeah. I don't care about knowledge. If if I'm a professor of holes, I keep falling into holes, what's the point of that knowledge? I would think the knowledge, the point of it was to allow us to avoid holes. That's what I would think. So
yeah, well,
that's
right. It's
so,
kind of like you say, right? Paul is like, knowledge of self, self-knowledge availed us nothing, but knowledge of self is everything.
I think it's very valuable. Yes,
very
because
valuable at least, right? Because that way,
the thoughts will have a lot of sway on you no matter what you do if you keep dancing with them as the thinker. It's just the way it goes. Yeah. Because
it's going to grab everything.
All the thoughts have that sense of my already. And so now it's almost like you've already lost the bet before the wager occurs. Because now you're trying to get out of what you think you're in. Where the real freedom is realizing you're not in, I feel. Yeah. So and being into the thoughts is usually really is the thinker, really. Yeah. Yeah. So
well, it's going to grab everything. It's going to grab everything it can, but it already has everything.
It does. It's whatever it comes into contact with. There was an old Tibetan guy named, he's passed away. He actually was an alcoholic, I'm pretty sure. Trungpa Rinpoche, and he read a very cool book, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. And the first paragraph of that book, he gives you the warning. He says, and he uses the term ego. He says, first thing, basically, I'm paraphrasing, but the thing you need to know most is the ego is going to take advantage of everything it comes into contact with. Yes? So this is what, to me, is the selfing. It's we bring it into contact because we are the vehicle of consciousness. It's a mental activity. And then when it gets brought into contact with something, it claims that something to verify and to reaffirm its story, which is you're a long-lasting, independent, separate thing. That's the cause of everything, the doer of everything, the thinker of everything. And yeah. I mean, to me, that's the bondage of self. So, yeah. Self comes
Yeah,
with a lot of bondage, obviously. You get bound to a past that's naturally is forgotten because a new moment occurs. Yeah. But we get bound to the past of past moments through this selfing. Yes. Of being the one who was at that moment and the one who's at this moment. That's the only made up continuum, really, other than the space of the moment of here and now. The things and the particulars are different. They already dried up and moved. Yeah. But the story is, it was us. Yeah. Yeah. So that's one of the basic broad claimings, is that it's me that's been here all the time. And we'll just forget the 8 hours we're asleep, Basically, nothing happens without me. Well, you're out to lunch 8 hours every day, some of us. It seems things keep going on. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
Thanks.
of things
Yeah.
that can happen in those 8 hours. Yeah, no, I'd much rather hang out over here with awareness, and it seems a lot more peaceful. So thank you,
Yes.
Paul.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Yes. Thank you.
And that's it for today, Paul.
Oh, well, it isn't really. We'll be back at 4:30
That's
Pacific
right.
time. So if you got the gonads for another round, show up. Yes. It's bare knuckle time at 4:30.
Oh, here
No
we
12-ounce
go.
gloves. No 12-ounce gloves. Just hand-to-hand combat. So 4:30 Pacific time, we have a talk. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, thanks, Mickey. Let me say goodbye to everybody. Happy to be here. We got Al from Vegas. Nice to see you, Al. Thanks for your attention and time. Yep. Kerry, as always a pleasure to see you. We got Kathy. Nice to see you, Kathy. Thanks for sticking along with us. Yep. Walter, the brother from another mother. We got Mickey. Thank you, Mickey. Ran a great meeting. It was one of your shorter readings today. It was pretty good. Not full of stuff, though. Ruby Rose, yes. Now remember, there's a lot of reinforcements here, honey. You won't be left alone in that outpost. Yes. We got John from Florida. Always a pleasure. Nice to see you, John. There's our man from Tucson. There he is. Nice to see you, my friend. Yep.
Thank you, sir. You're the best, brother.
You're welcome. We got Annette. Now there she comes. She's just popped in. Nice to see you, Annette. We have someone that was on the phone. I think it was Gary. He's here still. We got Kathleen. Kathleen is just happy now. The confusion is gone. Yes. There wasn't any anyway. Yes. Just happy. Joseph from France. Nice to see you, Joseph. Always a pleasure. Oh, there's Jess from Ireland. Nice to see Jess. Very good. It gives me an Italian smile when I see Jess. Yes. Nice. We've got Martin. Nice to see you there, Martin. Alex and Jacob, as always a pleasure to be a part of both of your lives and vice versa. We've got Natalie K. Nice to see you, Natalie. Anu, as always, thank you, honey. We had a lovely little hangout in Palm Springs for a few days. Very nice. Looks like they had a heavy-duty sandstorm there yesterday. Yeah. We got Chris B. We got James Lebowski. He seems to be upstairs now. I think he's moved from the downstairs bedroom. They let him up. Okay. Roman, as always. Nice to see you, Roman. Steve, I met Steve in San Diego. That was a pleasure. Nice to see you, Steve. We got Miranda. Pleasure. All's well, honey? Good. Jack, as always. Kaiser's dropped in. Always nice to see him. Can you have old days from Zoom? I guess so. The old days of Zoom. There's Nina. She's been on board the whole journey here. Wow. Yeah. Jeffrey in Seattle. There's driving. I hope not. Bill Churchman, as always. We got John. Nice to see you, John. Bruce. There he is. Nice to see you, Bruce. We got Brian, our little transcendent reggae character. That's nice. Grateful Dave. He's got the right shirt on. We got Oliver from Berlin. Nice to see you, Oliver. Chris from Mammoth Lakes. Hopefully you're warm there, bro.
Love you, brother.
Yeah, nice to see you. Thank you. I thank you for that. Sally. Nice to see Sally. Danny in California. Gail, the pink cloud. Oh, yes. Mia has survived. She's hopefully okay. Laurie, I think that's about it. Let me see. Hey, thanks. Thanks, everyone. Again, we'll see you later if you like, and not, I'll see you soon. And thanks for all the
Paul.
support.